guys, it's Sarah. Welcome back to my channel. I hope you are all doing absolutely amazing today. And I hope that you have your One Direction thinking cap on today because we are going to be going through the Superfan's Guide to One Direction and we're going to be doing the Are You a Superfan One Direction quiz. So I have done this on my TikTok, but if you have not seen it, perfect. Let's do this quiz together. There are 25 questions. I'm going to be reading you the question, giving you a few seconds to think. You can pause the video if you want to, and then telling you guys the answer. Like I said, it's out of 25 questions, and at the end, we will go through and tell you how much of a superfan you are. So let's get started with One Direction's superfan quiz. Okay, so this is the One Direction quiz, and it says, think you're a One Direction superfan, then see how you get on with our special quiz. So, like I said, 25 questions, and let's start. Number 1, and these are not multiple choice, you just have to know the answer, so it makes it a little bit harder. But number 1, which one of the band members came up with the name One Direction? Now, I know on TikTok that there was some debate around this, but who do you think who came up with, which band member do you think came up with the name One Direction? Give you a second to think. Their answer is Harry. Now, I do remember Harry and Niall having a conversation talking about how they came up with it together. So Harry, Niall, but the magazine, it does say Harry. Question number 2. Simon Cowell signed One Direction up to his own record label, but what is his record label called? What is Simon Cowell's record label called? His record label is called Syco. So S-Y-C-O, Simon Cowell, Syco. And people think that's funny because people think Simon Cowell is psycho, I guess. I don't know. But Syco is his record label. Number 3. Number 3 is, who is the oldest member of One Direction? Who's the oldest member of One Direction? That would be Louis. Louis is the oldest member of One Direction. And obviously, number 4, who is the youngest member of One Direction? That is going to be Mr. Harry Styles. I feel like a lot of people thought that Harry was not the youngest. Did people think Niall was the youngest? I mean, he's almost the youngest, but yeah. Harry is the youngest member of One Direction. So, number 5, what was the first song that One Direction sang together on the X Factor? Now, it's really funny because in the magazine, the answer actually says Liam, which does not make any sense to the question, what was the first song that One Direction sang together on the X Factor? So, there's a little debate on this question also, so you guys tell me what your answer is, and I will tell you what I think my answer is, and we'll have a little discussion about it. So, what was the first song One Direction sang on the X Factor? My answer is Torn. That's the first song that they sang together as a band on the show, The X Factor. I know it was at judges' houses, but it was the first song that they sang together in a performance on TV for the show, The X Factor. People think, though, that it's Viva La Vida because The X Factor was the live shows and the judges' houses were a separate entity. So what do you guys think? Do you think it was Torn or do you think it was Viva La Vida? I will always stick with Torn being their first song they sang together, but that's just my opinion. Okay, number 6. Which member of One Direction had got to the later stages of the X Factor in 2008? So which member out of the 5 of them had already been on the X Factor and got to later stages? It doesn't say where, but got to later stages. Now that answer is Liam. I don't know if it was a misprint in the magazine that had Liam twice, but number 6 is Liam. He made it to the judges' houses before he got sent home. So, we're on number 7. True or false? Amongst the products that One Direction endorse is Pokemon. Did One Direction endorse Pokemon? True or false? The answer is true. They did endorse Pokemon. If you go back to some early YouTube videos back from 2010, 2011, there's videos of them playing Pokemon and there's a big Pokemon characters dressed up. I don't know. But I do remember vividly seeing them play Pokemon on Nintendos and stuff and talk about it. So they did endorse Pokemon. How odd for them, but probably exciting. Number 8. Which 2 members of One Direction live together or lived together because this magazine was from, it doesn't tell me when this magazine's from. This magazine's from the early 2010s. So who lived together? Which 2 members lived together? That would be Louis and Harry, and I remember it being a really big deal that they lived together. Everyone, that was, Larry, we're not getting into that, but Louis and Harry did live together, and it was a fun little time, I think. It's a good time in the One Direction days when they lived together. All right, on the X Factor, who was One Direction's mentor? Number 9, on the X Factor, who was One Direction's mentor? Who mentored the groups? Who mentored the girls? Who mentored the boys? They didn't have children then. But who mentored the groups? It was Simon Cowell. Obviously, Simon Cowell was their mentor. He went on to do all these things for them, but he was their mentor originally. Okay, number 10. Which member of One Direction comes from Doncaster? The Sass Master from Doncaster. That's what we all used to say back in early One Direction days, right? Or I'm not making that up. Someone confirmed that that was something we used to say. It's Louis. Louis was born in Doncaster, or came from Doncaster. Number 11. Which member of One Direction was described as the Irish Justin Bieber? Now, if you know who's Irish, this will be a really easy question for you, but if you don't know which one of them is Irish, then it's probably kind of hard. But that's Niall. Niall is Irish. Yesterday was St. Patrick's Day. Happy Irish Day, Niall. But yeah, Niall is Irish, and on the X Factor, was it Katy Perry that said you're kind of like the Irish Justin Bieber? I think it was. So yeah, he was compared to be the Irish Justin Bieber. How interesting. I don't see Niall as Justin Bieber at all, except for in pictures where he wore that purple hoodie. He looked like Justin Bieber then. Number 12. In what category did One Direction win at the 2012 Brit Awards? Now, this is not something that I would have off the top of my head. I was very bad at knowing what awards they won. But they did win Best British Single back in 2012. All right, I'm sorry, I skipped a question. All right, number 13. In which town was the Up All Night concert filmed for its DVD released? Now, in America at least, the Up All Night album had like deluxe songs that were from the live version. And they actually say, "Good evening," the city that they're in. Now, I'm going to butcher the city name. I did this on my TikTok video and I still can't get it right. But Bournemouth? I don't know. I'm not British. I don't know. But Bournemouth, I think that's right. Let's spell it. Bournemouth. Looks like Bournemouth, but I know that's not right. So that is where that's where it was filmed. And go listen to, I don't remember what song, Up All Night maybe? Go listen and you'll hear, I think, Liam say, "Thank you, hello," and then the city name, which I'm not gonna say again. All right, number 14, where did One Direction play the very first concert on their Up All Night tour? And once again, I'm gonna butcher this name because I don't know cities in Europe very well. Don't know cities in America very well, but definitely don't know cities in Europe very well. But it is going to be Watford, Watford. I think I pronounced that right, Watford. Who knows? Number 15, and where is the first gig in the 2013 World Tour? That is going to be the O2 Arena. Okay, number 16, where did Gotta Be You get to in the UK singles charts? I always forget that Gotta Be You is a single, but where did it get in the UK singles charts? I would have not known this off the top of my head. The answer is 3, though. It got to 3rd in the singles charts in the UK, which is really cool. Good for Gotta Be You. Number 17, how many tracks are on the original release of the album Up All Night? Count through your head. Up All Night, More Than This, Same Mistakes, One Thing, Gotta Be You, Stole My Heart. Why can't I remember any of the rest of the songs? Everything About You, More Than This. Are you going through them? Do you have your answer? The answer is 13 songs. And that says the original release, so I don't think that's extras. There are 13 songs. That's absolutely crazy. Didn't know that. Number 18, which record label released Up All Night in America? Columbia Records. Columbia Records released Up All Night in America. Number 19, what was the first UK #1 single that One Direction sang on? Now, think about that question, kind of a trick question. Not what was their first #1 single, what was the first one they sang on? So the answer is Heroes by the X Factor finalists, and I definitely would not have gotten that right. My brain probably would have jumped to their first single, I don't know. But it is Heroes by the X Factor finalists. Number 20, whose audition for the X Factor wasn't seen on the main show, but instead was screened for the first time on the Extra Factor? I probably wouldn't have known this either. It's Zayn's. I probably would have guessed either Louis or Zayn. But yeah, I guess there's not like a whole like Zayn audition. It's kind of just like little clips. So Zayn. Number 21. What was the name of the band that Harry was in before One Direction? I love the name of this band. It's just so unique. White Eskimo. White Eskimo was the name of Harry's band. That should be a question to get into Harry's next tour. What was his first band called? If you don't know it, you don't get tickets. Just kidding. Just kidding. If you're a fan, you're a fan. You can do whatever you want. But White Eskimo was the name of his first band, which I still think is a cool name. All right, number 22. Had One Direction won the X Factor, what would have been the name of the song they'd have released as their first single? So, song that was not one of theirs, but would have been their first single. Forever Young. When I was 12, 13, yeah, I would listen to this song all the time. One Direction's version of Forever Young. It was really good. Go listen to it if you haven't listened to it in a while. Really good. All right, number 23. What does Niall describe as his best present ever that he received at the age 11? I feel like these questions are all over the place. Some of them are really hard, and then it's what was his favorite present? But it was a guitar. I'm sure he really loved that guitar. I mean, he said it was the best gift that he ever received. I wonder what's his best gift since his guitar, or if his guitar is still his best gift. That would be a great question to ask him. Number 24, last two questions. Which member of the band briefly appears in the video for Ed Sheeran's song Drunk? Now, it's not the actual music video, I'm pretty sure. I think it's like a fan-released video, but it is not the actual video. So don't go watch Drunk and be like, I don't see him. You have to look up the fan video, I'm pretty sure. But it is Harry. Harry is in Drunk. Like I said, go look up the fan version and you'll find it. And then our last question, an iconic question, which band member is afraid of spoons? That would be Liam. Liam was afraid of spoons. I don't know if he ever conquered that fear, but I think he did. But back at the beginning of One Direction, he talked about it a lot, afraid of spoons. So Liam was afraid of spoons. So how did you do? If you got 25 questions right, wow, you are the ultimate One Direction super fan. If you got 20 to 24, you sure do love One Direction. You are one of the band's greatest fans. 14 to 19, your One Direction knowledge is good, but there's a few more things ready for you to discover. 8 to 13, need to swat up your One Direction knowledge a little bit. And if you got 7 or under, you're long from being a super fan, but it's going to be a lot of fun finding out new things about the boys. So, like I said, comment down below how many you got right, and which question was the hardest. I feel like for me, it would probably be either the first single one or like where, I don't know, like what was their first single or what number it was, Gotta Be You. I don't know, those are probably the hardest ones for me. But yes, that was the quiz, 25 questions. Tell me how you did it below. Tell me what the hardest question was. And tell me if you want more One Direction quizzes, because I have a lot. We can play the Girl Talk game. I got so many magazines that we're gonna go through. And yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I love little quiz videos. These are like my favorite parts of magazines back in the day. We're taking all the One Direction quizzes, and that's why I knew way too much stuff about One Direction, because I did those quizzes all the time. But yeah, hope you guys enjoyed this video, and there's more One Direction stuff to come. More One Direction stuff, Jonas Brothers stuff. I'm going to Jonas Con this weekend, so there's going to be some fun Jonas Con vlogs coming up soon. So look out for those. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I'll see you all in the next one. Bye.